what does Mallory do as the backup plan? Is there a backup plan?
I'm just gonna homestead. I'm just gonna, get some chickens and a goat, and I'm just gonna be solar panels. I'm just gonna live out in the woods, I guess. I just launched in May. So I'm a brand new baby entrepreneur, really. I've been doing the work for 5 years, doing the work on my own on the side for 2.5, but going full time, it's been 5 months as of recording. So my goal for the end of the year is to just keep my pipeline set up and make sure that I have runway into the new year, is the short-term goal. I think when you're first launching a business, that really is it. I'm just trying to stay in the black right now,
I didn't even walk.
I didn't walk either.
You didn't?
Oh. Nope. I know. I was like, I could either sit in a really hot room in an uncomfortable robe watching them call names, or I could
hours.
have pizza at my house.
My parents were so pissed at me. Oh, they were so mad.
Oh my gosh.
What is going on, everybody? Walter Hooper, owner of Hooper Marketing and host of Marketing Minds Meet. We are back for another dynamic, fantastic episode, and it is fall. Fall has fallen upon us, however you want to say it. It is colder, it is cooler. I am wearing a sweater, so sweater weather is officially begun. But have no fear, it is still nice out. The sun's still out. It still looks very nice. And, if you're like me and you like to go camping, whether it's in a camper or even if you have a tent, this perfect camping weather. So enjoy it. But that's not why we're here. I could talk about camping all day, but we're not going to do that. I don't want to bore my guests to death. So with that being said, I have someone here today with me in the studio. It's an individual I had the pleasure of connecting with over the last probably about month and a half or so. We met through the Clawson Chamber of Commerce, and then specifically the Young Professionals group. And this is someone that they're an author and a publisher. How wild is that? So I can't say I've ever had someone on my program that's been both of those things, and it's just been a treat to get to know them, and we're going to get to know them even more today with their story and their background. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Mallory Kuhn. What's up, Mallory?
Hi there. I'm excited to be here. It's going to be fun.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to be here. She drove all the way from Farmington. So it is from Farmington to Grosse Pointe is not the easiest hike. So I appreciate you being here today.
It's all good. I had a great audiobook. I was vibing.
There you go. See, it's all about the vibes. That's why we're here. So let's just get right into it. Why don't you tell everybody who you are and what it is that, you do.
Yeah. So, hi. My name is Mallory Kuhn. I am, we'll start. I have 2 jobs, so I never know where to start, which one to begin with. So, as Walter mentioned, I am a published author. I'm published under the name MJ Kuhn. I write fantasy, science fiction, and horror, which is super fun. And then on the other side of my life, I own a marketing business. So that's where we met, through Chamber of Commerce stuff, where I do marketing, ghostwriting, copywriting. My silly little tagline is, if it's words, it's in our wheelhouse. So that's me.
I love it. So multifaceted, love it. It seems to be a common trend that I'm noticing is people they're not just a certain thing. So I actually had a guest on here on another show that I host, and excuse me, they do staffing and HR training, but also they have their own apparel line that they started. So it kind of meshes together. You would think that something like that wouldn't mesh, but it does.
I like it. Well, that's I feel like the multi-gig shuffle is a bit of a sometimes it's a necessity, right? Where it's especially if one of your pursuits is a creative pursuit like being an author, or doing this clothing business perhaps. It's hard to make a full-time income from that right off the bat. So it's kind of a necessity to have the multi-gig, but I also do think that like the entrepreneurial field, for lack of a better word, just kind of draws in people like us that want to do a million things at once, and we're just kind of ambitious and excited to try new things and want to launch new things. Like you have your business, but you have your podcast, and you're doing all kinds of different things. Camping, evidently. So yeah, I think it's a fun trend a bit if we look at it that way.
Yeah. Well, camping, that's my getaway. That's my hobby. Camping, cooking, and music. Those are like the top three for me. But so let's start with your, because there's a couple of lanes that we can go down today that we are gonna go down. But let's start with your author and your writing. Like what inspired you to want to do that?
Yeah, insanity mostly. No, I always just joke, if you want to give yourself just really hard homework for the rest of your life, be an author, be a writer. So I always wanted to be a writer. I was always writing little stories, which sounds so trite, but it is just true. From the time I was could write, I was literally folding construction paper in half and stapling it in the middle and writing books. And at that time, I remember the greatest mystery was well, how does a writer know how big the book's going to be before they start writing it? How do they staple enough pages together? I didn't obviously realize how books are actually made at that point in time. But yeah, and then, you get into late high school and you start meeting with guidance counselors, and they start, giving you all this very rational advice about realistic jobs and careers. And so I didn't end up, I don't have a degree in English or creative writing or anything like that. I studied communication, advertising, and marketing, which obviously has served me very well, and I don't regret that. But I kind of lost my writing drive. I didn't even read anything for fun for all of college. I just kind of moved away from it. And then soon after college, I got into my first corporate office job and was immediately yeah, this can't be everything I'm doing. I need that creative outlet. So I went back to, and I started drafting a novel right then. And that one was very bad and it never got published. But I just have never stopped ever since then. So.
Well, what would be really cool is if you went back to that first novel, but you made it a limited release. Then it would be exclusive.
It's so funny. I get questions all the time where people are because I wrote 4 or maybe 5. It depends how I decide to slice what counts as a novel that I wrote. But I wrote 4 or 5 novels before my first one got published that will never see the light of day. And people are oh, well, if you ever get famous to the point that they'll publish anything you write, would you go back and release those? And I was no. First of all, they're very bad. And second of all, I have mined them all for parts. Right? That's always my my advice to new writers too, is yeah, okay, the first thing you write, some people get their first book they ever write published, but it's actually super rare. Most people write a few before they get dialed in. And it's oh, what a waste of time. But it's not, because I literally have stolen characters or weapons that I invented for a fantasy story or a world building element that was super cool. And I've just kind of stolen all of those from my old works and put them into the ones that actually are out in the world now. So.
Oh, it's the mind of a writer, right? So what was it about? Okay, so you mentioned fantasy, even horror. I love horror. It's one of my favorite genres of all time.
So fun.
It's one of the best. But what was it about those genres that made you want to go down that route with your writing and your style? Was there any sort of inspiration, an author that you looked to, or a particular novel or book that you read that was just that's what I want to do?
All right, that's the fun stuff. I've just been a massive nerd my entire life. Super dork. Always been really into fantasy and video games and Star Wars and Lord of the Rings. It's the fun stuff. So it was never really a question of whether I was going to write something else. Actually, horror has been a fun deviation for me almost a little bit, because so much of the horror that I write is ultimately set, at least in part, in the real world, where I still have speculative elements that I'm bringing in, but it's been an interesting departure for me to be able to not have to describe the kingdom and name the river and do whatever, and I can just say they went to West Virginia, so that's been new. You underestimate how much how many words that you're spending telling people about what this city is and why it matters, when you can just like say a place in the world. But yeah, if I have to say inspirations, let me be a stereotype. J.R.R. Tolkien, right? Lord of the Rings is probably one of my biggest inspirations. I literally have a tattoo on my arm of the trees of Valinor from the Silmarillion. So yeah, one of my biggest inspirations for sure in terms of like depth of world building and like just creating a world that people want to spend time in, right? Like readers want to linger in that world. But yeah, I have a bunch of other influences now. My influences change, I think, year to year. The stuff that I was writing when I first got into the game was a lot of like young adult fiction, where it made sense, right? I was writing that when I was like 22, 23 years old. Now that I'm redacted years old, I'm
no
writing,
judgments here, no shame
judgments here, right?
If it's any consolation, I am older than her, so
right,
it's
just
fine.
by a smidge. We'll, with splitting hairs. But we'll, I'm writing a lot more adult stuff, and so when the stuff that I'm reading has a lot more of those darker themes and less coming of age kind of stories. So yeah, I think it's fun to watch. I don't know, my style evolve as I grow as a person.
Yeah, that is very interesting. You right now okay, this is what I like, this is what I wanted. Like that's big. So
yeah. Well, and so to be clear, so the business side of my life I've been doing for just under a year. But the writing side of my life, I've been doing for a really long time. So I got my first agent actually in 2017.
Nice.
2016 actually. So it's been almost a decade of in the publishing world. And my first novel came out in 2021. So that piece of my life I've been doing for a while. I just haven't been managing the business side of it well until this year.
That's okay. The passion's what
right.
So, okay, let's get into now business, your marketing, because it is Marketing Minds Meets. We do talk about so tell me about that. What made you want to go? What made you consciously want to go into the path of marketing and be like, yeah, that's what I also want to do.
That's where I'm going. Yeah. So it's funny. My professional career, like on my day job side of things, right, the non-author job, has been like a really nonsensical journey, if we're being completely honest. So my degree was in communication and advertising, but my first job was in corporate staffing and payroll. And then I went from there to higher education, where I was working with students. And then from there, I taught myself how to code, and I worked in data analytics and like software administration for universities for years. And then, as happens with many people, or has happened with many people, COVID happened. And all of a sudden, I got the opportunity for the first time in my life to work remote. And that was when I was like, the world is brighter. It's just such an opportunity.
Was it though?
No, I was going to say, for absolutely no other reason other than the fact that I am now able to just like walk to my kitchen and get a cup of coffee anytime I want when I'm working. So really what spurred me to make the move into, I wasn't really enjoying my job in higher education. I had not liked it for a long time, but it paid the bills, and education had good benefits, and you know what I mean? There was a lot of reasons that I was convincing myself to stay there. But I think everyone kind of had the collective trauma of COVID. It switched up a lot of people. A lot of people made career shifts at that time. And I made a career shift into marketing, where I was like, I have never really used this college degree of mine other than as a piece of paper to say, I'm capable of learning, teach me how to do a job, So I was just looking for fully remote jobs, and I found one that was listed, the posting was listed as a content creator. And I was like, fine. I can do that. Maybe. I don't know. And it was just like a wild thing because it was not a content creator job at all. It was a growth marketing specialist when I really got into it. But yeah, I was just fortunate that this company took a chance on me, that I didn't actually have any marketing experience outside of like marketing my own books at that point. Just have stuck with marketing ever since. It felt like a better home. You get to do storytelling still, when you're in marketing, which is a lot more fun than writing code.
Yeah, code is literally it's black and white.
It's puzzles all day is what it is, which can be fun, but I got sick of it after a few years.
Yeah, I feel like code, while it's it is a necessary thing. It's, if you're very left-brained, I think that's like the route that you would,
right.
And I mean, there is left-brained obviously within yourself, but there is also a lot of right brain where it's just like you need that creative outlet. You need to have that, and I'm the exact same way. Like I do like stats and analytics to a degree, and I do dabble in SEO. Like that is part of my specialty, but also at the same time, it's like I do have the production side of things. So it's like the balance, right?
Yeah, well, I think marketing is a really good balance like that, because you do. I mean, if you're a marketer and you don't have any left brain, you're going to really struggle, because at some point you're going to need to pull data. You're going to need to look at numbers and traffic and conversion rates and click-through rates and all these things, and study those patterns and make incremental improvements and blah blah blah. Like there is very like formulaic left-brainedy stuff that you're doing, but there is so much of the like, ooh, I get to kind of create something. I get to put myself in the shoes of not a character like I do for my fiction work, but of an ideal customer, which is just make them a character in my head and then try to write the story that they want to hear,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I think for you, when you found that, it was like, okay, and then all cylinders were fired up. So, and you also had a degree as well, which, if, in my humble opinion, degrees these days, it's not mandatory like it was back, like even when we were growing up, like, because back in, well, at least back in my day, like
back in our day,
yeah, like the expectation was we were going to college. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Oh yeah, freshman year college was 13th grade. You know what I mean?
Pretty
essentially.
much.
Yeah.
And the fact that I survived and passed that's
you made it.
Yeah, I made it. That's a Patreon section. But now it's like, okay, so I'm noticing like the younger generations now, they're noticing that, okay, yeah, college isn't necessarily what it's all cracked up to be. Like, I don't want to potentially go into all this debt. I don't want to have to, rely on my parents. I have to potentially go into debt. Like, so what can we, meaning the Gen Zers, like what can we do as a collective to like maybe find work faster? And like they just want to work, which is great. Like I am all for that. That certainly was not
right. You're like, I didn't want to work.
Yeah, no, like, well, I did, but like I wanted to have a lot of fun too. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and I think that I actually have a lot of feelings about higher education, having worked in the field, but I'll keep it brief. But I think one of the challenges that we're seeing with the younger generations, because even all the years ago when I was working in higher ed, and we were seeing enrollment rates drop, and some of that was because of declining birth rates, all those years ago and stuff like that, where there's not as many 18-year-olds as there used to be, but a lot of it was these people deciding not to go to college. And I think a piece of that is the expense of it for sure, but also the world of business and like the skills that are needed and the tools that are coming out and stuff has evolved so crazy rapidly in the last few years. And I feel like, I think programs are struggling to keep up with the kinds of jobs that people actually want and are actually getting. And so it's like, okay, I can get a degree in, I don't know, something more generic like communication like I did, and then you're gonna be able to probably shoehorn that into a lot of careers. But the really specialized stuff, I do feel like there's just a bit of a lag.
Yeah, well, and I think the other thing too though is because like I know I experienced this like when I graduated words, is it's a catch-22. At least back in those times, it was okay. You're great, but do you have the experience? And so it's like, well, no. So it's like, well, then what the fuck do I do?
Yeah. Well, I was a big, like, a college evangelist basically when I was in college because I really enjoyed my studies. I'm a big old nerd, so I was like going all the office hours, and like I really liked my program. And I was
you were that student.
I was cool though about it. I wasn't annoying.
That's what
to
they
other
all
people.
say. That's what they all say.
I mean, I did open this episode up by saying I was a big nerd, so we can't be too surprised. But my initial plan was actually I was going to get my PhD and I was going to go into like being a faculty member. And so I wanted to, right straight out of my bachelor's program, I wanted to enroll in my master's right away. And I had this really, really incredible professor who told me, she was like, don't do that, because what's going to happen is you're going to come out with your master's degree and now you're going to be both overqualified and underqualified for every job, right? You're going to be overeducated, but you're not going to have the experience that they need, and you're going to really struggle to find employment if you do that. And I was really grateful, to her for that advice, because I did. I was like, okay, I'll get some years of work experience and then I'll come back to school. And I did actually waste a lot of money starting a, master's PhD thing that I dropped out of because I was like, I don't actually want to do this anymore.
This isn't fun.
This isn't fun. Well, and it was just kind of like at that point, like to go back to like the, you're growing and changing always.
Yeah.
I had not realized, I wish I had realized it like $6,000 sooner. But I had grown past like that dream of wanting to go into that. And I learned my lesson a little too late, but that's fine.
See, I did fine in college. Like I got, 3 5s and ups and what have you. But much like in high school too, like I was ready to get out. Like I was done. I was in it for like, I was going into my fifth year. So I didn't even walk. I
didn't walk either.
You didn't?
Oh. No, I know. I was like, I could either sit in a really hot room in an uncomfortable robe watching them call names, or I could have pizza at my house. And so I did. I had pizza at my house, and I knew what time the like commencement ceremony was happening. Yeah. And then like at the time when like theoretically maybe they would have been calling like my college's names, my parents were like, "Woo!" And then that was it.
My parents were so pissed at me. They were so mad.
Oh my gosh! I think mine were like happy to be off the hook for having to go.
God, so. No, mine were so mad. Like they're like they didn't like scream at me, but they're like, "You really don't want to walk?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Well, because I've been doing this now. Like, I'm a 5th year senior. I just want to get out, and I'm ready to move on to the." Yeah. I mean, Walter.
Ready to start my job. You
right.
know?
Like, Walter, this is your only chance. I'm like, yeah, I know, and I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, I no hate on anyone that enjoyed that experience. And
right,
like one of my first jobs in higher education was actually the commencement planner and coordinator. So like I used to do the events, whatever at that school, and I planned and put on the commencement ceremony with the help of like a whole team of people. So I know how important it is to a lot of folks, but just not for me.
Yeah, and I just, like I said, I was ready to go, so I just said, why don't we do this? I was like, so this is like when I was like really like when I first rediscovered the beauty of steak and not eating it medium well. That's another story for another time. I said, why don't we just go to a steakhouse and we'll just get a nice dinner?
Yeah.
I'll steak and a beer and
I love it.
And potato. We'll call it good.
Yeah. That's the thing. Everyone should be able to celebrate how they want to celebrate.
Yeah. So like, cause like, obviously I walked for how you kind of have to.
Yeah. See, I felt like high school it was like mandatory, but also high school is different because it's like you're with your whole cohort. These are people you grew up with, unless you moved around. But like I was at the same school system all the way through, and so it's like you're going through with people you actually know. Whereas like college, it was like most of my friends weren't even in my major. Like, you know what I mean? A lot of my friends graduated in different years from me, and like it was a lot of friends were my coworkers at the Chili's. Like they weren't even in school with me. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So it was like I didn't have like that social circle, and so that's a thing too. I think maybe if you have a lot of like friends in your program, it might be more fun to walk. But like,
yeah,
I would just be like sitting there vibing by myself.
Yeah,
like
Chili's, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I worked there for many years.
Oh, okay. Rest in peace.
Right.
Good times at Chili's.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a lot of margaritas there. I witnessed some people having some good times.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. Well, and that's the other thing. Like, so my after my freshman year, so like my freshman year was pretty much like I was pretty much in an unofficial fraternity. Like my floor was we were just rambunctious people.
Great word.
Yeah, that's being nice. There are some stories that cannot air, but all I'll say is
Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon. Our poor RA. Oh, that guy. Yeah,
he was trying so hard.
He was trying, and then our head RA hated us. Well, partially because we flooded her room.
Well, I don't know how pleased I would be if someone flooded.
Well,
place where I keep all my stuff.
When you get an industrial-sized garbage bag full of water, and then you just throw it to see how far it will go, and then it hits their balcony, and it also ruins their patio furniture.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
And like you walk.
Sorry.
Yeah. Not even 5 minutes after that happened, the elevator to our floor, we hear the bell go off, ding, and then we just hear, all right, I know it was you guys. I know it was you. And we're all like, what?
Well, we didn't do anything. We've
right.
just been sitting here quietly studying all
and
night.
like they're studying. Well, we didn't know what that was.
Sorry, I should make it actually believable.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a funny story about an exam too. Yeah, and so we go to her room, and immediately when you approach her doorway, you just hear sopping,
just soggy
wet
floor, and then everything's
and
gonna
like,
be all mildew.
Oh,
smelling.
and I forgot to. We not only was it filled with water, but we filled it with new, mind you, new. Let me be very clear.
Afraid of where this is going.
New rolls of toilet paper.
Oh no! I mean, good that they were new, but also they're gonna be like all gloppy.
Yep. Oh yeah. We, me and my best friend, who now lives down south, stood up at his wedding too. I was his best man.
Aw, there you go. This is a story that forged a lifelong friendship, you guys. It's beautiful.
Walk in the room and we just pick up like one little speck piece of wet, soggy toilet paper. We're like, all right, we done our part.
Right? Like, you're welcome.
Like, you want to go to Walmart? Yeah, sure, why not?
Oh
Back
God.
when you could do the late night Walmart runs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but no. So you were a bookworm. See, I just did what I had to do to get out of there. So one day, I'll never forget. One day, I woke up. It was like noon. That's my average wake up time for that point in my life. I think like a lot of.
That's pretty fair for a lot of college kids. I feel.
So I wake up and I'm on my way to the food court because I went to OU and I was.
I went to OU. Did I know that we were both Grizzlies? I don't know if
No,
I
I
knew
don't-
that. Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right.
Golden
okay.
Grizzlies.
Golden
Let's go.
Grizzly. All right.
Yeah.
I knew there's a reason why we connected.
See, this is why we vibe.
This is
Yep.
why. Yeah. So I was on my way to the OU Center because I really wanted some Chick-fil-A waffle fries. So I'm walking, and then I see one of my floor mates walks past me, and he's got a backpack on and everything. He's like, "Yo, Walt," he goes, you gonna make it to the exam? I was like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like,
No.
we got our exam today. I'm like, no, that's not. He's like, yeah, it's today. And so I said, bullshit. He goes, dude, look at the schedule. So he pulled out the schedule. I was like, so I dash back up to my dorm room. I get my pencil. I didn't have any Scantrons because this is back when,
I forgot. I blocked that memory out that we had to buy our own Scantrons.
Scantrons.
I wonder if that's still a thing.
I don't know. These Gen Zers, man.
They don't know how good they've got it.
They don't know how good they just need to check in on an app on their phones.
Right.
So I go to the bookstore at campus and I get like a stack of Scantrons and I do like the 100-meter dash. I think it was North or South Foundation. And
you're just sprinting across the quad at that point.
Yeah.
I can
like
picture it.
I was just determined. See, that's the thing. Like I could do it. Like it wasn't that.
No, at least you're not going all the way to Poly Hall. People that didn't go to OU are like, what are they talking about? But
no,
that would have been like super far.
Yeah,
so.
because I know that's where you went like for like if you were gonna go into education, like a lot of because I have a few teacher friends which. What up?
And at the time, I think they've built up campus around that now, but at the time it was just like alone in the corner.
It was like isolated. Yeah. It was almost like Alcatraz.
Right. They had their own like parking garage though, so I was jealous of that. But.
Whatever. Schematics, architecture. Anyways, so yeah, and then I made it just in time, and then I think I got like a 3.5 or something.
Love it.
So,
do you remember what class it was?
Yes, it was. It was actually an English class.
See, there you go. See, okay, that's the best thing about like, I don't know. This is why I liked being in like a liberal artsy type program because math, like you can just be wrong. But like I felt like, well, I guess if you had a Scantron test, you could just be wrong too. Because that's the thing I liked was that I had a lot of papers or like a lot of like essay question answers on all of my exams. So it was like even if I was like kind of wrong, I could get partial credit on it if I like reasoned it well enough. So I should have been a lawyer.
You know, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that because I was almost gonna go into law.
Yeah.
Yep. I wanted I wanted to go into immigration law.
Okay. Yeah.
Which nowadays
that would be a very, very stressful field.
It
these days.
Sure would be. But after I because like I went to like I started like going to the libraries more often and like reading up on like different like aspects of it and like just the law in general. It was really fascinating me.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, it was a lot of writing, which I really enjoyed, creative writing and just that kind of stuff. And I was an English minor, so there you go.
Oh, yeah. You're like, have all the foundation ready.
But after I read, I can't remember if it was on Google or I got some career book from the library. It said that attorneys mostly spend their time in an office going through papers. I'm like, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Well, and a lot of attorneys like don't even like
see court,
do trial. Yeah, they're not even trial lawyers.
Right.
So
exactly.
Like,
so it's like, I'm good.
Right.
So at that point, I was like, well, now I gotta
make a new path for myself.
Yep. And that's when journalism came into the picture.
There we go.
So I don't regret it. But and I think to our points here to tie up the college stories together is, you know, for me, and I don't know how it is for you, I noticed that, you know, when I'm out networking or meeting new people, I will get the question, oh, where'd you go to school? And I think if I were to answer other than, oh, well, I went to OU, like, I think that would already set a precedent of a different interaction with that person because they wouldn't ask that if, you know. So I think it was worth it, you know. I got the paper and it does add some credibility, you know. Now granted, doing what I do, do you necessarily need a degree? No, I'll say it. But it helps. It does help to have that, just that extra.
Yeah, it helps get you in the door. And I do think for like, again, this is for the liberal artsy type jobs and like, you know, stuff in communication and marketing and all of this stuff. I know if you're like actually like if you're like a nurse or like an engineer or something like where you need the professional certification, like totally different ballgame. But I think a piece of like why a lot of these jobs will require the bachelor's degree, even if it's like I don't really need one for what I do now either. It's like proof that you can stick to something and you can, you know what I mean? You can finish things. Is I think whether employers realize that's why they want the bachelor's degree or not, you know, it's like, okay, I finished the 4-year degree and like I did the thing. You know, I think that's a piece of it.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. You heard it here first.
I doubt I'm the first person to say that.
Yeah. Well, at least on this show.
There we go. I've cornered the market here.
You have. Congratulations. So let's get into, I want to know, what you began your marketing entrepreneur journey, and so for you, what are your big goals that you want to accomplish? Because we are in Q4, fourth quarter. What are some goals that you want to accomplish for this calendar year, and then also for the next 5 to 10 years down the road?
Yeah.
Short term and long term. What do you got?
Short term, long term goals. Well, it's fun because so what I've done finally is my business is called Kuhn Creative, and since it is Kuhn Creative, I've brought my author name and author income under that umbrella as well. So it's kind of fun. I get to explore both sides of my career under one financial umbrella, which will make taxes so much easier than they've been. But
get that LLC, baby.
I know, right? It is though. I put it off so long. It's like, why? So if I'm thinking about like short-term goals, like really, I'm still for the audience here. I worked in marketing agencies for like 5 years, and then I went from that about 3 years probably into working in the agency. I started freelancing on the side, and it was really funny how I started it. Actually, is I have this friend that works at a law firm, or actually is a partner at a law firm. Sorry, Devin, for misstating that initially.
No shade to you, Devin.
None. I'm like, oh, he's a partner there. But so he like had reached out a couple years into my like marketing journey and was like, hey, you know, I need someone to do some like website copy. Do you know anyone who does that? And I was like, I'm a person that does that. Like I could do that. And so that was like, I'd never really thought about freelancing before. But that was kind of the start of it. And then I started picking up, you know, more and more freelance clients. And it was during this era where I was kind of starting to experience a split in terms of like marketing philosophy from the agency that I'd been working at. Like no shade to them either. It's just there's nothing wrong, I think, with the way they're approaching things. It's just I was starting to get my own vision for how I think marketing should be done, and it wasn't quite aligning. So when I got to the point where earlier this year, 2025, my freelance income actually outstripped my day job income at the marketing agency, I was like, let's just think about how much more I could make freelancing if I were actually able to dedicate all of my time to it. So yeah, I just launched in May. Like, so I'm a brand new baby entrepreneur, really. I mean, I've been doing the work for 5 years, doing the work on my own on the side for like 2.5, but like going full time, getting my own health insurance and like running things on my own, you know, it's been like 5 months as of recording. So my goal for the end of the year is to just keep my pipeline set up and make sure that I have runway into the new year, is the short-term goal. You know, I think when you're first launching a business, that really is it. Like, I'm just trying to stay in the black right now, you know?
Yeah, it 1000% is. And then, you know, I will say, and at least in my experience, you know, going on 9 years and being so why did I do this again? You're gonna do great.
Right. It was really inspiring there, Walter.
I'm joking. You know, in that first year, it's exciting. It's also nerve-wracking, but you know, I think you're going to experience a lot of like new, just exciting endeavors. Like, oh, I never thought I would have worked with this type of client, or oh, I never would have thought I'd work with that type of right. So it's like different ends of the spectrum, but these are all experiences. I think that most, if not all, entrepreneurs, especially ones that are just starting out, like you kind of have to go through, in order to kind of get where you ultimately really want to be. So, to be able to take it seriously and put your everything into it, like that's a big leap right there, Yeah. So congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, it is nerve-wracking. It's a little scary. But I'm stubborn and I'm scrappy, so I'm like, we'll figure it out. But yeah, if we're looking at like longer term goals too, because I think another short term goal or like probably ongoing goal is getting comfortable with the idea of investing in my business. So like I had kind of probably uncommon experience in that I was like in the black, profitable right away because my overhead is so low. Like I'm just a content monkey doing content. You know what I mean? It's not like I don't have an office space I have to pay for. It's not like I had to like buy a retail building or really even any supplies, because the supplies is like my laptop and my brain that I already have both of those things most days. So like, I now though have started slowly getting comfortable spending money on the business, both in terms of on my author side and on the business. So like I've joined some networking groups that have a fee, right? Which is like, oh, I'm spending money, but it's like I'm investing in making relationships and having these referral groups. Or I did just finally, and it's so funny. So like I do social media for other people, but I just hired my own social media person for my author stuff. Cause I'm the biggest proponent. It is very hard to do social media for yourself if you're also running a business or doing other things, because you always prioritize yourself last, right? So you're always like, oh, I'll do that later. I have all this client work I got to do it. And then, so I finally just invested and I hired a social person for myself. So it's uncomfortable. So that's another early stage goal. It's like, I need to get more comfortable, investing more than just my own time and energy in the business. If we're looking further to the future, a lot of my long-term goals are a lot on the book side. So I'm planning next year. It's very exciting. So I've been, traditionally published. I'm through Simon & Schuster so far. But traditional publishing moves very slowly and I write very quickly. So I'm actually planning on doing my first indie publishing project next year. So I'm, working with a cover artist right now and getting all the details set to be able to release books a little faster and pad more of my income. Because right now my author career is more of an expense than it is a revenue generator. And I'm hoping to kind of make it more of an even split eventually. But yeah, and then I really want to get more into ghostwriting for folks. Not fiction. I don't know that I could ghostwrite fiction. That feels really, really hard. I have a couple friends that do it. But like I'm working with a business leader right now who wants a book on their business life, their career, and they're not a big writer. They don't want to write it. So I'm doing a bunch of interviews with them and getting the insights that I need from them, and getting the transcripts of those to try to capture their voice so that I can ghostwrite this business book for them. So that is another thing I think would be really, really fun on my marketing side to spin up a little bit more, is work with these business leaders that have these really incredible stories and help them tell their stories and give their advice in a way that their audience can really appreciate and can help them book more speaking engagements, which is never hurts.
You got quite the plate full of opportunities and goals.
Yeah, that goes back to what we were saying in the beginning with everyone, all of the people we know having multi-job hustles, right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't want to be like constantly multitasking and like trying to spin up 5 things at once, like I feel like entrepreneur life would just be very, very stressful. If that wasn't something you loved and enjoyed.
Yeah. And I know for a while, well, at least up until like my early 30s, I used to think that if you weren't an entrepreneur, then what were you doing? Like why would you want to just be just another number in the corporate system or what have you? And then as again, maturity and age and experience you know, a lot of times that's not for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and that's okay. Like that's okay. Like that's why there are people like us that do what we do, because that's just not our thing. You know, I realized that back in 2014, 2015. So, you know, that's okay. So you're doing it right. It's very, very exciting to hear about what your goals are and what you want to accomplish. And congratulations on the social media. You know, it can be a bitch, can't it?
It can. Well, that's so funny because I would always be like, okay, I'm talking to my clients. You need to be posting consistently. Like all the packages I offer is like multiple posts per week and like blah, blah, blah. You got to keep the algorithm warm and, you know, engagement. And then I would always be like, but don't look at my socials though. Because, like, you know, it is, you just prioritize yourself last. So I'm really excited to have, you know, like author Instagram and stuff that I can be like proud of. Point people to. And so I guess, you know, if it's like a bit of a sales pitch maybe for what you and I do, where we do, you know, kind of the content for you know, folks, even if you are a strong writer yourself, even if you are a marketer yourself or whatever, if you want to grow the social part of your business while you're also focusing on growing XYZ over here, there is nothing wrong with hiring out that social piece. Just so that you don't have to split your attention. You know, it's really hard to focus on.
And it's funny
things.
because like when I started out like that, I started out doing social media. So, but there was a different time then too.
Yeah.
It was 2016.
Oh yeah. The landscape has changed so much. When that's like when I say I do social, I work with B2B clients mostly. So I'm doing LinkedIn, maybe a little Insta. I can't imagine the folks that like, you know, hire out for TikTok and stuff like that, where the algorithm, I've tried to crack it. Mm-hmm.
It's so stressful, and it almost seems like you're like chasing the dragon.
Yes.
The imaginary dragon.
Well, and honestly, I think that a lot of these social platforms, they're built to be addicting. So I think that that's actually a really good, you know, they want you, they'll seed you with those early posts. They'll give you more traffic than like you should get on them. And then you're like, wait, what happened? Why am I not getting this again? And you're chasing that original like high of getting those first early posts where they push you out. Because you're the new blood, you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. It's a tough world out there.
That's right. Just say no to drugs, people.
That's what this message is really about.
Sponsored by Dare.
A very long PSA. Yeah.
We got them.
Right.
All right. Let's go into, because since you are a fellow Star Wars appreciator and I will say it, fellow nerd. We're going to go into some dark side questions now.
Ooh, I like it.
So this is the balance of the light and the dark.
Right. Okay.
I feel like...
Go from Anakin to Darth Vader.
That's right.
Let's go.
Yeah. So... All right. First dark side question I have for you, Mallory. Tell me something about what you do that you don't like and why.
What I don't like about what I do. I mean, see, when I say this, like I'm thinking, it's not because I'm like, wow, my life is rainbows and sunshine. I'm picking. But okay, so for my author life, what I don't like doing, I hate first drafts. I hate writing first drafts. I love outlining and planning. I love world building and like, you know, ideating. And then I love editing and revising. First drafts make me feel stupid. I do not like writing them. It makes me feel like whoever let me pass an English class ever in my life, I clearly don't know words. So for that side of the job, that is something I don't like. For my marketing side, it's hard to say I don't like it because I really enjoy the networking piece, but I find sales really uncomfortable. I'm struggling to sell myself. And so like when I'm on sales calls, like I've been... My close rate's all right so far, but it's uncomfortable, right? Like it makes me feel uncomfortable in that element. So I'm still getting my sea legs there, I think.
That's so weird because I never would have guessed that.
Yeah.
No, that does not.
Doesn't compute. Well, here's the thing too. Here's a plot twist for you because you've met me in mostly networking settings. Mm-hmm. I am also aggressively introverted, and everyone always thinks I'm very extroverted. But I enjoy being social. I just need a nap afterwards. So.
Yeah. What? Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. The more you know, huh?
Learn something new. Yeah.
All right. Next dark side question I have for you. This is I guess because you have two entities, it's kind of a two-parter. All right, let's say Kuhn Creative is no more, and let's say your author days are numbered and will be no more. What does Mallory do as the backup plan? Is there a backup plan? What's next in line? What's the next move?
Ooh, okay, so I can't do marketing and I can't be a writer. That's the one that's tricky, because like if I can't do marketing, that would suck too, though, honestly. I'm just gonna homestead. I'm just gonna, get some chickens and a goat, and I'm just gonna be solar panels. I'm just gonna live out in the woods, I guess. Oh my god. It's this or bust, you guys. This is all I have.
This is all I got. Hey, at least she's honest. Right? That's why we do this show.
I'm all in, all right?
Hey, but you know what? That's what I'm talking about. because that shows pure dedication. Because I can't remember where I heard this. I don't know if it was a colleague of mine said something along the lines of when you go to present your business to a group of investors, what they look for is if this is it, like if this is your everything, because they'll at some point they may or may not, more often than not they will ask a question along the lines of, well, what do you have if this doesn't succeed, or if this isn't a go? And if you answer anything but this is all I got, then sometimes they won't even invest in you, because then they're not really that serious.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, the explorers back in the day that would burn the ships, right? So they can't go home. Or if we use a less dark example, like in storytelling. So if you look at the structure of any movie, any book, any story, there is always, it's the first plot point of the story, and it is where the main character can't go back. So to Star Wars, in A New Hope, when his aunt and uncle die and the farm burns down, he has no choice but to go forward, right? So I think that, in our lives, we got to look for those little moments of, there is no point of return. You go forward, or that's it. There's no other answer.
Yeah, I mean, what a great example.
Right.
That was a sad scene too. I remember watching it as a kid, and I was like,
devastating.
"Oh man!"
Right?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people's first introduction to tragedy. I think probably.
Well, and Disney movies. So.
That's fair. A lot of those are way darker than I remember.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Like Bambi, like the mom gets killed
in the first 3 seconds of
the
movie.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think one that really, at the time, I didn't really because you're a kid, but then as I got older and kind of just rewatched it just for shiggles, is The Fox and the Hound.
Oh, stop. Oh my gosh. That was my favorite movie when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then I watched it again as an adult, and I was like, what was wrong with me?
Yeah.
I was like a messed up little kid probably. But I mean, it's cute. I liked animals is probably why I liked it. I just because I remember the little worm that would snuggle up in the plant. I remembered the worm, but I didn't remember.
The birds always would hunt it.
Yeah, I didn't remember the tragedy of the whole actual story.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's life. You know, friendships just sometimes just aren't meant to last.
Aren't meant to last. Hopefully they don't end up hunting you with a bear or whatever it was at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Anyways. Next dark side, I think this is the last one I'm gonna ask today. Are you big into music at all?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Are you into blues music at all?
No, not particularly. I don't dislike it.
Okay.
But.
So, I'll try and keep this short and sweet. Okay. So in the blues genre, there is an artist by the name of Robert Johnson. Does that name sound familiar to you?
Vaguely.
Okay. So Robert Johnson, he is considered the epitome of all blues. Like he was from the Mississippi Delta, guitar player, considered probably one of the greatest guitar players of all time. He inspired artists like Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan, like all those 60s British. A lot of that was because of Robert Johnson.
Okay,
so,
those names I definitely know.
Yes. So the lore is one of his songs called Crossroads, which was made most famous by the band Cream when they covered it. So the theme of that song is, he meets an individual at this crossroads in the Delta. So the lore is that before he met this individual, he wasn't really the best guitar player. He was okay at most, but nothing really to write home about. So he's walking back home from a gig. He's got his guitar in case and, suit and all that. And he happens to run into this individual, and this individual says, "Hey, I noticed you have a guitar. Would you like me to tune it for you?" And so he goes, "Sure, why not?" And he goes, "Okay, well, when I tune this for you, I think you'll notice that your skills will enhance immensely." And so he goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure, let's go for it." So does it. He tunes it. Right after that, like that, he is able to play runs and leads and riffs that even to this day baffles guitar players, because it sounds like it should be played by two people when it's really just one person. And I've tried some of his tunes myself, and it is you do need
You're like, where's my extra hand?
Right. So one night he plays this gig, and he was also known to, he liked to talk to women and all that. He's a musician. We're different.
I feel like it's like a known entity. Yeah.
So he's talking to this one female, and comes to find out she already is taken. So he leaves his drink at the bar. Well, it gets spiked, and then he keels over, takes a drink, keels over, and is dead within seconds. So he was also the very first artist to join the 27 Club.
Wow.
Yeah. So comes to find out, that individual that he talked to was the devil himself. Because remember when he said, "I can make you," well, the devil, well, there's always a price to pay. He will collect. There are artists even to this day that some people think that they have made deals with the devil, like even Clapton. They think so. My question to you, Mallory, if the devil were to present you an offer where, let's say, both entities, you as an author and as a marketer, if the devil were to say to you, "Mallory, I can make Kuhn Creative, and you as an author, I can make you the most well-renowned author and marketer in the entire world," you would have people chiming in from all over the world wanting your services, and you would be set for life. You wouldn't have, that's it. However, much like with the devil's deal, he does have to pay, or he does collect his pay. Now that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be your life. It could mean other aspects in your life that get affected. It could mean family, friends, relationships, whatever the case may be, could be altered. But you would be set for life. You would have all the riches in the world. Do you take the deal that the devil offers you?
I don't. But it's, okay, I feel like that's the easy answer. It's like, no, I would never.
Oh, go on.
Right?
Go ahead.
But it's not because I'm not ambitious enough for it. It's just that I have this pesky belief that anything that you come by easily is ultimately going to turn to ash in your mouth very quickly, right? Like the struggle towards getting there is the part that makes life worth living. If I can make a really stupid example that's very nerdy, it's
Please do.
Video game life.
I love video games.
So I like all kinds of video games, but this is going to be about cozy gaming. If you guys do any cozy gaming, like the farmer games and stuff, I used to play those a lot as a kid. And like literally, this is when I realized at like age 10, I was like, oh, I never want to win the lottery. Because the point in the game where I get bored and I quit and I stop playing the farmer game is when everything is like up and running and I've got like a bunch of cows and like all the field stuff is automated and I'm just selling stuff and I have all this money and I can always buy anything I want in the game because there's no more struggle. And I literally was like, I don't want that in my life because that's the point when I want to quit the game. So clearly that's the point when it's not worth playing anymore. So that's why I don't take the devil's deal.
Oh, okay. That's a very pragmatic way of looking at it.
Because of the lessons I learned from Harvest Moon
That's
at age
right.
10.
I love it. I love it. Ah, well, you did great.
Thank you. Did I pass?
Yeah,
Do I
you
still
passed.
get to rejoin the Jedi? I didn't turn to the
Of
dark
course.
side.
Of course. Yeah, yeah. No, of course. It's interesting because there's only been, and this was out in the wild, and it was like late at night, and drinks were being consumed and what have you. I did happen to just randomly start a conversation with this one couple. I would guess they were probably in our age bracket, maybe slightly younger, but I asked that question and like without hesitation they both said, yeah, oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, like I take the deal.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if they were just like playing into it or if like I think part of it was playing into it, but I also part of it think that they were also like serious about it.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, well, those people do exist.
Right? Like, hey, everyone live your dreams. I just,
That's right.
Feel like you'll find it unsatisfying.
Yeah. Well, like you said too, like, yeah, quickly turns to ash in your mouth. That's quite the visual.
Thank you. Thank you.
She is an author after all.
Metaphors are my life.
That's right. I am the same way. Like if something seems to it's like that old saying, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. So
right.
like that's why it's like, I can't tell you how many times like I know I've been offered like opportunities, to do various marketing things. I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
Like
this doesn't smell right.
Yeah. It's like, and then, you go to the conference room and it's like, you're going to love this timeshare in Florida.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, not again.
They got me again. All right. Well, you passed. We are now going back into the light. So let's bust out those green and blue lightsaber. I'm a green saber guy myself.
I like it.
I think the green saber looked the best with Luke.
Yeah, the green saber was cool. I like the purple one mostly because it was just Samuel L. Jackson being like, I want purple.
Yeah. Yeah, too bad those movies were just not.
Yeah. It's such a bummer because the actual like story arc of the prequel trilogy is arguably the strongest.
Yes.
But the individual scene work and dialogue scripting was so poor that it made everything else suffer.
Yes.
I get me off my soapbox about this quickly, but yeah.
No. I am in the exact same boat. On paper, the story was great.
Oh my gosh! Like you very rarely see the fall of the hero into this really dark character arc. It's a very cool thing.
Yes.
This is why I really enjoyed the Clone Wars show though, because it.
Oh yeah.
It dives into that a lot more. In a lot more nuance. But
yes.
Yeah.
They did a much better job.
They did.
But yeah, no, those prequels though. I just. George Lucas, well, it's like what I equate George Lucas to like Ridley Scott. Like I mentioned this at a dinner a couple weeks ago. It's like they don't understand their own creations anymore. Like I saw, I don't know if you saw the Alien Romulus. Like it was.
I have not, but I heard some things.
It started out fine, and then it got to a certain point where it's like, really, like, are we bringing that back, or like what are we doing? And it's like he create like, and that's the thing. It's like him and George, like they created probably two of the biggest franchises in pop culture history.
Oh yeah, in science fiction at least.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the challenge is that I believe this is true for Alien as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they both started as just a standalone film, and then it was popular enough that they decided to expand and expand and expand and expand, which is fine. But yeah, I think that there is a point when like your vision from the beginning was a kind of narrow scope, and then all of a sudden there's demand, so you want to keep adding things on, and
or
it's eventually like, oh no.
Or they themselves, the creators, create that demand in their own head. And I'll use Gladiator 2 as an example. Like, there should never have been a sequel.
Yeah.
The first one was a masterpiece.
That's the thing. I think it's like you try to put a little zhuzh on the end and you ruin the whole vibe. Yeah. Yeah,
it's like spoiler if you haven't seen Gladiator, he dies, that's it. His story is over. Yeah. Maximus' story is over.
And that's what made it like a whole
Yes.
Yep.
And then I'm really trying to be a good boy right now, but let's move on. So, anyways, Mallory, when
back to business,
and not me getting rage quitting on the show.
We're done.
So when you are not doing the author thing and being the boss for your company, what are some of your favorite hobbies and activities you enjoy in your downtime?
Yeah. So I'm a gym rat. I like going to the gym. I always have like a gym hyperfixation. It was boxing until really recently, but then it's fun.
Really?
You need to like blow off some steam. You need to get into boxing.
I love boxing.
Yeah, it's super fun. But I tore a ligament in my wrist, and so I'm on rest for that right now. But luck would have it, I found spin class, and now I'm really into spin. So you know what I mean? It's like I always have like one hyperfixation for working out, and then I do other normal workouts too. But and then reading, but that kind of is part of my author job, so I don't know if that really counts as a hobby.
It counts. Counts.
So reading and podcasting. I also co-host a podcast. It's called SFF Addicts, and it's where we interview authors and talk to them. All science fiction and fantasy. It's the SFF in the title, and that's really fun. I do that a lot of the time. But yeah, also though, you get it when you're getting a business spun up. There's not like a ton of like free time. A lot of my free time is now spent like back at the computer. But that's okay. I don't mind.
Well, I think though it's so important, and this is going to be a PSA to all entrepreneurs and all solopreneurs, business owners. Like, you have to find that balance. Like, it wasn't until the last few years that I realized that was so important, because, and I really think, like, to tie it all like with camping, like getting like the camper, it's like that's the escape. Like, that's where I go to get my energy like fully recharged, like just to be, you know, like whether it's camping or like I also like to work out too. So like I do more like calisthenics and boxing as well. Like I want to get back. I definitely need to get back into the boxing more, like in a more regimented routine. But that, playing music, that's a big one too.
Yeah.
Like I had a gig the other night. It was great, like a solo acoustic gig. Like just getting the steam out and just shutting my brain off. I call it the fun work. Not that this isn't fun. It's a different.
Yeah, it's different. I agree. It's important. I've been struggling to find that balance so far, but it is, you'll burn out if you don't, find it. It's a very well-worn metaphor, but I think it's apt, which is you can't pour from an empty cup. So you got to find those things that fill your cup, or else you can pour all you want, but there's nothing more coming out.
No, 1,000%. And so find that release, find that it's the balance. It's the balance of the Force.
Right? It all comes back to Star Wars.
That's right. That's right. I feel like we should start a Star Wars podcast.
I would start a Star Wars podcast.
Yeah. Well, we'd have to take care. We'd have to address the elephant in the room with the current Mouse administration. That's
we just don't. We don't think about. We'll just do this.
Did you hear about the? I'm sure you did. The apparently there's a Mandalorian movie now coming out.
Oh, I did not hear about that.
Yeah,
actually,
apparently.
but I'm not surprised. It's like
and I guess it's like people are saying it really should have just been like another season. It basically is essentially it's like 4 episodes of the show just in a movie format.
I'm sure they have some motivation that includes box offices or something.
Yeah,
probably.
it's a tough time for Star Wars fans right now.
Right?
It's
This is why we go back. We watch Star Wars Clone Wars. We watch Star Wars Rebels. My favorite Star Wars property of all time is Rebels. Yes. And so we just go back and we watch those, and then we don't think about it.
Did you ever watch? I haven't seen 2 shows. I do want to check them out. Did you ever see The Bad Batch?
I did not. I mean, so I'm terrible about keeping up with TV shows lately. So like I've watched a lot of the older ones.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch Bad Batch though because I heard it was really, really
good.
Yeah.
For those that are unaware, Bad Batch is essentially it's about. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's essentially like this. If the stormtroopers had a special forces unit.
I think it's like some of the clone troopers that didn't like turn with Order 66 is what I believe it is. But yeah, it was one of those I meant to watch it, but I did not. That and Andor.
I was just gonna mention
super
Andor.
Embarrassed to admit that I have not yet watched Andor.
I haven't either.
I've heard it's really incredible though.
Yeah,
so
that is like. That I've heard that is literally what is like keeping the franchise like alive. Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I loved Rogue One, I did, and that's maybe kind of a hot take because I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I found it really good. I just liked that there wasn't like a Skywalker in it. Like, not that I have anything against the Skywalkers, but it's just like Vader.
Well, okay, in the last 2 seconds, but you know what I mean. Like, it's not like we're following the Jedi. Like, we just have this scrappy group, and I think that's why I like Rebels as well, is it's like, Leia shows up a few times, I think. And you know what I mean? It's like, but it's not about them, which is nice.
Yeah. I remember like at the time because I obviously I saw it in theater, but I wasn't crazy about it. I mean, I thought the Vader scenes were cool, obviously, but like, I was like, why do we care about people like this doesn't.
See, I was the other way. I was like, I am very excited because it's hard, I think, to do a movie like that where it is both a prequel and a sequel, so you know what happens before it and you also know what happens right after it. So it's like, how can you make it interesting and exciting and have people on the edge of their seats not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing who's going to die? Well, it has to be all people you never heard of.
Yeah.
So, and I liked that it made the rebellion feel bigger, right? Like the rebellion felt very small, I think, in a lot of the older films. Whereas this was like, you've got all these factions of people that are not, Jedi or, whatever. It's, but again, there's nothing wrong with not liking it.
Yeah. And I mean, now I can appreciate it more now.
Yeah.
I think than I did then. Now knowing what.
If you go into it expecting a classic Star Wars film, you will not enjoy it, right? It's kind of like I said that about Solo, because I thought Solo was not bad either. But if you go into Solo expecting Star Wars, you're not going to like it. If you go into Solo expecting Ocean's 11 in space, then it's a fine romp,
Yeah. See, I also saw Solo in theater, and it. The guy who played him.
You're trying to follow up prime era Harrison Ford. It can't be done.
Well, see, there. So if you go on YouTube, there was a guy on there who did do like a Harrison Ford impression. He looked like exactly almost like it. Yes, like complete doppelganger, like when he was like in his like 80s era and all that. It's like, why couldn't you have like called up this guy and have him be
right? Like, can we recast, please? Yeah, that's fair. I didn't love the casting of him either. I thought he did fine.
It's just the execution to me. It was just too campy.
Yeah, well, that's exactly the thing. If you're looking for normal Star Wars film, it's too campy. It was comedic and like very like Ocean's 11 in space. Is like when I kind of viewed it in that lens, I was like, okay, this is fine. This is not a bad movie. It's enjoyable.
For me, the saving grace was Donald Glover.
Dude, Donald Glover, I will watch anything Donald Glover does. I love him.
His role as Lando, he was Lando.
He carried.
He was Lando.
For sure. Yeah.
To like when he did his thing, I was like, okay.
Right.
This went from like a 1-star movie to a 3.
Right, like we've boosted. Yeah, he for sure carried. He tends to carry stuff that he's in though. Donald Glover for me. I think he's fantastic. But.
Community.
Dude, yes. When he left Community, it was like
that was so sad. I still
watch the rest of it, but it's like it doesn't have that same magic. You need Troy and Abed in the morning.
Community, that was a big COVID watch for me.
Yeah, actually, I think that's when I did my binge of it as
well.
It's
so good. Yeah, and then of course, the creator, Dan Harmon, went on to make, Rick and Morty, which that's a show that kind of fell from grace too.
Oh, I have not watched Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty is one of those shows that people tell me I will like, and I just have not watched it yet.
Just watch
I'm terrible at keeping up on television shows.
All you need to watch is the first 3 seasons.
Oh, that actually makes it easier for me to commit to. So
yeah, there was some drama within the behind the scenes stuff, and it got to a point where it was like I think at one point like both the creators Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland, they I think at one point they said like they like almost like hated their fans.
Well, that's not a good place to be in.
To be fair though, the fans are a bit like I'm on the tame side of fandom.
Fandom can get really toxic. Like so we on my podcast we did a live episode in Seattle earlier this year with George R.R. Martin. And it was great. I mean, he's awesome, and he was really kind, and it was really inspiring episode, and the whole thing. Like he's got so much knowledge, But every time we post on our socials about that show, about that episode about George, our comments are flooded with hate comments for him, and it's so interesting because you can tell from the comments that they come from a place of loving what he created, but getting to the point where the love of what he created plus their impatience and their inability to actually own it themselves turns into hatred. And I think that happens with a lot of fandoms.
Yeah. Well, even to go off of what, another George. And see, he gets it. He understands his creation up until. So I have not watched Game of Thrones. It's one of those shows though where I kind of equate it to like How I Met Your Mother. So I watched How I Met Your Mother. Like I watched it in real time when all the episodes aired, back in the day. And I know that the final season of Game of Thrones is like the biggest letdown. For me, it's like I've been through that kind of heartache.
Well, that's the thing. I would even say up to the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones were really incredible television.
Yes.
And then the last 2 seasons, they just rushed it is what happened. Really what happened, I think, if I can extrapolate upon information that I do not actually have any more knowledge than any other person. This is just my thought. Because I know that the creators of Game of Thrones were given a Star Wars show on, I believe, Netflix. And I think that they were like, okay, we're ready to move on to that project. And they just rushed through the rest of, their obligation to Game of Thrones. But then karma is because they ended up getting that Netflix show taken away from them by Star Wars because of how much backlash there was at the end of Game of Thrones. But I think that's what it was. And I think a lot of people have this theory that George R.R. Martin is not finishing the series because he told the creators like what the ending was going to be, and since fans hated it so much, he doesn't want to write it. And my thought is I didn't have any problem with the different set pieces and where they got to by the ending. It was just how they got there. It was rushed. It didn't make sense for the characters in the compressed timeline. So that's me on my theories of Game of Thrones.
That sounds like the same, like the equivalent of Rise of Skywalker.
Oh God.
Like I'm gonna say it is the worst Star Wars film to have ever been released.
Well, the whole final trilogy or the whatever sequel series drives me crazy as a writer, because what they did is they had two different directors for the series. They have oh my God, names. J.J. Abrams.
Yep.
Started. Who's in the middle?
Rian Johnson.
Thank you, Rian Johnson. I was like, oh my God, names. But instead of I think it would have been better, and I think the trilogy could have maybe been saved if it had been like J.J. Abrams, and then Rian Johnson, or Rian Johnson, J.J. Like, it was because they started with one, went to a guy that was like, oh no, I'm going to take this in a totally different direction, and then they switched back. So it was like a lot of stuff was set up in the first film. Then in the center one, they were like, nope, we're going to go off into left field. Let's go this way instead. And then you get to the third one and it's like, nope, we're going to pull it back and try to go back my original way. But we've already gone too far down the other path. And as a writer, what really annoys me is that they spent billions of dollars on this franchise, and they didn't have a cohesive story for the whole trilogy when they started. How? Like, it blows my mind and drives me crazy that it's like they just throw money at these big franchises without having a plan. Like, ugh.
Well, part of it for me, I know, is honestly, that last movie should have been a two-parter. It should have been a two-parter, because how do you tie in everything?
But that's because they had two completely disparate starting points, right? With the 7th and 8th films in the, whatever the timeline of Star Wars. And then you get to film 9 and it's like they're trying to barf all of it, or they already barfed all of it out. They're trying to jam it all into like one, air sick bag. I think there's a lot of issues with that. I tried not to be a hater for so long too, because so many people were like really hating on the sequel series, and I tried to like find the good in it and be like, no, it's okay because of XYZ. But no, it's just too inconsistent.
See, I liked I did enjoy, contrary to a lot of popular belief, I did enjoy, and actually I consider it my second favorite film of the entire franchise. Wow. The Last Jedi.
See, I liked The Last Jedi too. I liked it visually. It did have my very least favorite trope in all of fiction, which is the miscommunication trope, which is when you have two people that are within earshot of each other, and if they have one conversation, the entire plot unravels. And you have that with Poe and Admiral Holdo, I believe. It's been a long time since I've watched that one. But it's like they're in the same ship, and if they have one conversation, the entire middle of the story doesn't happen. I get it. It's a trope because a lot of fiction uses it. It's just, personally, I hate it. But I think it's the most visually stunning of probably all of the Star Wars films.
Yes. Yes. And
cinematography is real good.
It's so many great screenshots, but I liked how they tried to go in the direction of, okay, this is not, it can't always be about the Skywalker legacy. And that's what I liked about it. And, how Kylo Ren, like, at the end goes, to Rey, he's like, come with me, and, like, let's essentially, like, do something different. Yeah. And that was, to me, that was a great metaphor and symbol for, like, let's not do what this franchise has done for so long, because you do have to move on eventually.
Yeah. And then the third film came, and they were like, just kidding.
Yeah, just kidding. Oh, God.
Psych.
I remember walking out of the theater, and I was like, what the fuck was that?
What did I just watch?
And fun fact, out of all of the movies, That is the only one I still do not own, and I will not.
I haven't seen. Well, and here's the thing: I couldn't even watch the end of that film because I have epilepsy. So that whole part where it's like the lightning and stuff, I literally was with my partner at the time, and I'm in the theater like this, and he's like describing to me in my ear what's happening because I couldn't watch it because it was so flashy.
Oh my God!
So I've still never seen, reborn Palpatine, I guess.
Oh God.
Sorry, I keep bringing this conversation back to things that are making us mad.
Oh God. Yeah. Disney, we need to do better.
Yeah.
We need to do better.
Right.
We have to do better.
Plan ahead.
We have to be better.
Go back into the Star Wars Legends. Look at some of the source material in those books. There's a lot of gems. Snag one.
Yeah, and they were supposed to do a Rey Skywalker trilogy. I don't know if you heard that.
I can't imagine that would be popular.
Well,
with fans.
they called it off.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think the fandom would riot probably.
Yeah. Well, I will say, so unlike what Disney, because I'm not necessarily blaming George now because he signed.
He's kind of passed the reins off a bit. Yeah.
Which now in hindsight, people are like, should he really done that? Well, I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, ultimately, if the franchise is going to continue, it would have to happen eventually. You know what I mean? It's like you're not going to be 95 years old and still working. You should be retired with your family at that point.
Right. So other George R. Martin, I will say, so I have not watched Game of Thrones, but I have and am currently watching, I don't know when the next season's coming out, House of the Dragon.
Oh, yeah. I watched the first season and then, because I suck at keeping up with TV shows, I'm behind. But I did enjoy season 1.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
I really liked it.
And I remember asking a buddy of mine who was a huge Game of Thrones fan. He loved Game of Thrones. I was like, do I have to sit through 8 seasons of Game of Thrones to watch House of the Dragon? And he goes, no. He goes, House of the Dragon takes place like 200 years
it's
before.
like a total prequel. But and the great thing, if you like the first season at least of House of the Dragon, I can't speak to the second because I haven't seen it yet. You would like the early seasons of Game of Thrones because that's when I started watching House of the Dragon. I was like, oh, good, it's getting back to the roots where it's like, the plot is kind of slow, but there's so much politicking and like stuff going on that it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And that was the strength of what was happening in the early seasons of Game of Thrones. When we got to the later seasons and they were kind of rushed, they went more into like classic hero formula storylines.
Right.
Which is just that's never what the show was. You know what I mean? So I think that's why it fell apart in the end. But yeah, no, it's great. It's a completely different storyline.
Yeah, it was funny because I first watched House of the Dragon. I think it was when I had my first bout. I think it was when I first got COVID.
Oh no, you're like, I am not going anywhere for a while.
well, let's take a quick look at when House of the Dragon premiered.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was home. I was sick.
Right.
So House of the Dragon premiered it was 2022.
Oh, okay. That's later than I thought.
So this actually, I think it was my second bout of COVID. Yeah, it was when I had COVID the second time.
It was COVID strikes back.
Yeah. And yeah, I remember because I remember the conversation I had with my buddy, and I was like, I'll check this out, and then like it was a little slow, but I was like, okay, I can get into this, and then and as it started to unfold, and I started to get to know the characters, and I didn't feel overwhelmed. Like it was a slow yet very even keeled pace, and I like that.
It's like you can tell they're setting up dominoes or setting up that Rube Goldberg machine, right? And usually the formula for the earlier seasons of Game of Thrones was the first 8 episodes in the season are them setting up those dominoes, and then episode 9 is when everything blows up. Like it's crazy. Like just all the chips fall at once, and it's like and then episode 10 is like the wind down.
And it's funny because I feel like that, like in that era of time with Game of Thrones, I'll put Walking Dead in there, Breaking Bad. Like I feel like that was like the last true era of when society waited
Yes.
in real time
to watch each episode. That's
Right.
like honestly when that was what I loved about Game of Thrones, was because it was literally like I would stay up on Sunday night to watch it.
Yeah.
Because if I knew if I didn't, I couldn't go on social media the next day.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, but yeah, nowadays and everything just comes out like you'll get, which I just saw a bunch of signage when I was at Target the other day. So I'm guessing there's a new Stranger Things season coming. But like but they dropped that, you know, 2 episodes at once or something, I think, or whatever, something. So it's like, if you can't carve out enough time to like binge, then you're already behind and you're going to get spoiled. And that's kind of the tough part about this streaming, you know?
Yeah. And yeah, so like you said with Game of Thrones, I remember I was a Walking Dead guy for a while, like for a good minute. Really, it was up until after season 8, after Negan gets defeated. At that point, I was like, where do you go from there?
Right,
like,
now
he
what?
was like, to me, he was like one of the greatest like villains like of all of television, and I'll even say in like of graphic novels. Like he really like, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan who played him like just
say everybody was obsessed. I was never a Walking Dead person. I had heard really good things, but it was one of those things where by the time I'd heard of it and like knew what was happening and was maybe gonna watch it, there's 7 seasons and I'm like, I'm not gonna
and people and a lot of people thought that this show actually started to decline in like by like season 5, I think, because they did this thing, and I'll have to send you the YouTube video, because like it really did a really nice job, and they did the same thing with like Game of Thrones too, with like the trope that they fell into, the trap. But with, at least with The Walking Dead, they fell into this trap of where they would focus on one character, and there's like multiple characters in the show too, so they would like focus on one character arc for an episode, and then it would go out to the next character, and then like by the end of it, like everything supposedly comes together or what have you, and it just like nobody cares about Rick's love interest with Michonne like for a whole episode. Like, I don't need to see that shit. Like,
no, it's the same trap that Arrested Development fell into when it came back on Netflix, where they originally did it where like they do the same storyline and they follow it through one episode per character, and it was so unpopular that they actually went and recut it and re-released it in just like normal format, because it was like the same trap. It was
because like by the time like the Negan came around, like I remember when that aired, and I was one of the livid fans, because I remember when he did his execution of some of the group members, when you saw it air, you didn't know
who it was. I remember the drama of that, where everyone was like, oh, who died?
Right.
You know?
And then like you had to wait a whole another like 6-7 months
for the next season,
and then it's like at that point it's like, first out, you just pissed off like you an entire fan base because they've been waiting for this moment. Second, you don't reveal it, and you essentially blue ball your fans.
Like they came back for this and you're like
and then by the time it airs and it comes around, it's like you've lost like a good chunk of your fans because you decided to pull that crap.
Because you lost all the momentum that you had.
Exactly. And that was, I think that's what ultimately was kind of the final nail on the coffin for the show. Like I watched season 7 and I watched season 8. But after that I was like, I'm done. And then
it kept going for like a while after everyone
I think
knew
it's
stopped
still
watching
going.
it. Really? I mean,
good for them.
I guess, you know.
Question mark.
Live your dreams, guys.
Yeah, right.
Do your
but
thing. make that bag.
I guess. But yeah, I stopped, and I was like,
well, it kind of comes back to a question that I got asked once in an interview for like my author life, where it was like, would you rather have an incredibly popular piece of media that you create that everyone universally kind of agrees is like shit, right? But it's popular, and like Twilight is the example, right? Like even diehard Twilight fans that are now my age recognize all the stuff that like wasn't good in it, but nobody can say anything. Marketing genius like Stephanie Meyer, she's released the same story like 3 times. She hasn't written anything new. It's just the same thing from different perspectives, and she keeps making money. So like, again, get that bag, girl. But would you rather that, or would you rather produce something that has a very small fan base or a much smaller fan base, but that like people generally believe is quality, right?
I go for option B.
I do too. I would much rather have like a smaller fan base of dedicated people that like get what I'm trying to do than like big splashy something that is like maybe not as good as I could produce but happen to be popular or whatever. But that kind of just, you know, it's like, would you rather keep beating this show's dead horse until the checks stop coming, or would you rather go out on top, you know?
See, yeah, that's why I think like Breaking Bad is one of my all-time favorite shows, and not just because the main character's name has the same first name as me, but the storytelling, the acting, the everything, it just quality. And Rian Johnson directed I think a couple of episodes on that. So that's why I was really excited for The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I was like,
oh, I like this guy's style.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and how they ended it was perfect.
That is one thing I've heard. So Breaking Bad is another one that I missed until there was already like 6 seasons, and I was like, okay, I can't. But I've heard that of like shows with satisfying conclusions, like that one, The Good Place. What else makes
Parks
the
and
list
Rec.
usually? Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec had the perfect,
fantastic ending. Yeah, like there's some that really nail that landing, which is hard, especially when you have a show that runs, 7, 8, whatever seasons. But yeah, Breaking Bad is on my list of shows that I'm like, someday I'm gonna watch it. So
I feel like Community did it fine too, even though Donald Glover wasn't.
Yeah, Community was fine. Community kind of pulled a little bit of The Office, where it was like there was a decline in quality overall once people started leaving, but there are still gems in every season through the end, which I think, makes it worth watching.
Yeah, 1000%. And like Community is one of my all-time favorite shows.
I love it. It's like a comfort show for me.
Yeah, that and I obviously Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad. Those are like the top 3 I can think of right now. Oh, Seinfeld.
Oh gosh, yeah. Classic.
I love
Classic.
Seinfeld. Seinfeld's a better show than Friends. I said it.
Oh yeah.
I said it.
Nope. I'll say it too. I'll co-sign that.
I knew I liked you for a reason. Well, before I let you go, because we've been chatting for a while. I could keep this going.
We need our own podcast.
I think we kind of do. We'll talk after the cameras. Well, at least. Well, my camera's already off because my battery died. Spoiler.
Oh no!
So that's why.
It's just me. For
but I'm trying to keep the
keep the energy going.
Yeah, keep the energy going. But before I let you go, probably one of the most important questions I ask all my guests is, how can people find you for whether they want to catch you at a panel or for any of your author needs, and also for Kuhn Creative? How can people reach out and find you? Do you have websites, email addresses, social media, phone number? Now's the time to plug all of those things.
Awesome. Yeah. So you can find everything about me, both sides of my business, on my website, mjkuhn.com, mjkuhn.com. I have, if you're interested in my author side, I have links to get my books, but I also have like a newsletter that if you sign up for it, you get a free story. But then if you go to, there's a tab for it in the search bar, but also just mjkuhn.com/Kuhn Creative. That is where you can get to my portfolio, where you can see the kind of work that I do, what I've done before, the kind of projects that I've worked on, and there's a form there to get in touch if you wanted to book me for help with copywriting, blog posts, podcast scripting, anything like that.
All right. Well, perfect. Well, I'm going to cut to my blank screen, but I'll put in a thumbnail here so there's something people can look at. But no, I want to thank you, Mallory, so much for taking the time today to be on the show, chat with me. I've learned so much more about you. I know it seems like we have a lot more in common than I anticipate. I knew we had things in common, but now we have even more. So which is always great great to hear. But that's going to do it for this episode of Marketing Minds Meets. Please, if you haven't done so already, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. We have more content available for you to view as well. Besides just this episode, there's previous episodes you can check out. You can also find us on Spotify, Marketing Minds Meet as well. So please be sure to follow us there. Rate us on Spotify. That always helps with the algorithm and all that. So, but this has been another installation of Marketing Minds Meet, and I want to thank my guest again, Mallory Kuhn, for being here on the program. And as always, have a great day, and we will catch you next time. Take care.